Today, we're going to dive into a condition that might start with that familiar muscle burn, but can spiral into a really serious medical emergency. Yeah, we're talking about lactic acidosis.
You've probably been there, right? You absolutely crush a workout, and the next day, oh yeah, you feel that burn. It's that feeling we almost always connect with going hard and getting stronger.
But here's the twist. What if that exact same substance, lactate, could build up in your body for reasons that have nothing to do with the gym, reasons that are actually much, much more dangerous? We're about to leave the weight room and head straight into the emergency room.
So let's get into it. Let's open the official case file and ask, what exactly is lactic acidosis from a medical standpoint?
Okay, so the official term is a high anion gap metabolic acidosis. Now that sounds super technical, I know. But all it really means is that there's a serious imbalance. Your body is either making way too much lactate or it just can't clear it out fast enough. And that buildup makes your blood dangerously acidic.
Now, not all cases of lactic acidosis are created equal. In our little investigation here, we've basically got three main suspects, or types, to look at. Let's meet them. So let's break down the two main players. First, you've got type A. This is the really serious one, and it's all about a lack of oxygen. Think of something catastrophic, like septic shock or a heart attack, where your tissues are literally starved for oxygen. On the other hand, you have type B. Now, this is different. Your tissues are getting plenty of oxygen, but something else is messing with your metabolism. It could be a toxin, certain drugs, or another underlying disease. And then we have our third suspect, and this one is a bit of a weird one, D-lactic acidosis. It's pretty fascinating, actually. This is caused by bacteria in your gut producing a totally different kind of lactic acid, D-lactic acid, that our bodies just aren't equipped to break down. You see it most often in people with something called short bowel syndrome, where their whole gut ecosystem is just off. So, with these different culprits, how do doctors actually track down the clues? How do they figure out what's going on and make a diagnosis? Well, for types A and B, the symptoms often get lost in whatever's causing the problem in the first place, like the crazy breathing or super low blood pressure you'd see in shock. But with D-lactic acidosis, the clues are really strange and specific. They're neurological. Patients can get confused, they can lose their coordination, their speech gets slurred, it almost looks like they're drunk. And it often happens right after they eat a meal high in carbs, which just feeds those problem-causing gut bacteria. It's a wild gut-brain connection. The actual diagnostic process is pretty logical, almost like a three-step checklist. First, you measure the blood's pH to see if it's acidic. Second, you check the lactate level to see if that's the reason it's acidic. And third, and this is the most important part, you have to play detective and figure out why it's all happening. And here is the first critical number. Your body keeps your blood pH in a super tight range. If that number drops below 7.35, that's the official line in the sand. It tells doctors, okay, we are now in a state of acidosis, and that's a danger zone. The second piece of evidence is the lactate level itself. If you get a reading over 5 or 6, that's the smoking gun. It confirms that lactate is the bad guy behind the acidic blood. With those two numbers, the diagnosis is pretty much set in stone. All right, so the diagnosis is in. What's the plan? What's the immediate medical response to get things back on track? You know, everything really boils down to this one single idea. Treatment of the cause is paramount. You can't just fix the high lactate. That's only a symptom. You have to fix the root problem that's causing it. That is the absolute golden rule here. And that's why the treatment plans are so different. For types A and B, it's all-out war on the underlying issue. You manage the shock, you fight the infection, you get rid of the toxin. But for D-lactic acidosis, it's a completely different playbook. You're giving IV fluids, you're cutting back on carbs to basically starve out those bad bacteria, and sometimes you even use antibiotics to reset the whole gut environment. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground in this investigation. So let's wrap it all up with a final case summary, the key points you'll want to remember. So, what are the big takeaways? First, remember the two main types. Type A, the serious one related to oxygen, and type B, the metabolic one. Then there's that rare, quirky one, D-lactic acidosis, that comes from the gut. Diagnosis comes down to two key numbers, a blood pH under 735 and a high lactate level. But most importantly, the number one rule is you have to treat the cause. When you think about it, going from a simple muscle burn all the way to a life-threatening state of shock, well, lactic acidosis really shows you just how deeply interconnected our body's systems are.
It's a pretty powerful reminder of the incredibly delicate chemical dance that's happening inside us every second to keep us alive, and just how quickly that balance can be thrown off. What does that really tell us about the resilience and maybe the fragility of the human body?